and welcome to our September 2023 edition of the Magic News Network. Thanks for joining me and Anthony Darkstone. As many will know, Milt Larsen, one of the founders of the AMA, better known as the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California, passed recently. We featured that as an item in a previous edition. A few weeks ago, a memorial tribute was held at the Wilshire Ebel Theater. The theater has been owned and operated since 1927 by the Ebel of Los Angeles Women's Organization, which was formed in Los Angeles in 1894. Since 1927, the Wilshire Ebel Theater has hosted musical performances, lectures by world leaders, and performances by leading artists. In 1957, a show entitled It's Magic, starred John Calvert, was produced by Terry Hill and Milt Larsen. Some 1,000 magicians and friends filled it to capacity for a celebration of life for Milt Larsen. That night, the Magic Castle, as a sign of respect, was closed, thus allowing the staff to be present for the special tribute. The event was produced and directed by Dale Hindman, Milt's executive assistant and close friend. In attendance was a fine list of leading names. It was a unique moment in showbiz history. So many stars and talented names together at one location. Many spoke of the atmosphere of love and affection that filled the theater that night. The event was hosted by David Kovac. Written tributes compiled by Diana Zimmerman were projected on an overhead screen. David Copperfield sent a short video tribute. Naturally, among the tributes were performances. Jody Barron, Michael Goudeau, who for almost 2 decades was part of Lance Burton's shows at the Hacienda and Monte Carlo casinos in Las Vegas, Mark Haslam and Les Arnold and Dazzle were some of the performers. As many may know, Milt, together with his longtime friend Richard Sherman, wrote and produced various musical shows. Some of the original cast members from the show Pizzazz performed some songs from the show. One memorable moment was when the now 95-year-old Richard Sherman was brought on stage. As one would expect, he received a standing O from the entire audience. Many tributes were paid. Gay Blackstone, Lance Burton, Randy Pitchford, the now owner of the castle, members of the Larsen family, and many others paid tribute. One speaker of note was Johnny Canizaro, who was Milt's assistant and also his caretaker. He shared many heartfelt stories that brought tears to the eyes of many in attendance. Naji Williams states, "It was truly a celebration of life as we honored and paid our respects to an old friend and one of the founders of the Magic Castle in Hollywood. It was one heck of a show. The stories and reminiscences were great. I really loved Lance Burton's story of how they met and how Milt launched his career by scoring him a spot on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Jody Barron and Les Arnold and Dazzle dazzled the crowd. It was great seeing Matt King, Willie Tyler, and longtime friends that I have not seen in decades like Sam Lombardo. I really loved Milt and was honored that Richard Kaufman asked permission to use my photo of him for the special memorial edition of Genie magazine. I was honored to be a part of Milt's send-off. It is true, Milt brought thousands and thousands of magicians together. The Magic Castle is truly the house that Milt built. It truly was a privilege to know him and call him friend. Rest peacefully, Milt." Hosted and produced by Anthony Darkstone on the 12th of August was another Association des Magiciens Internationaux event entitled An Evening with Alexander May. Alexander, like myself, is also an AMI board member. Apart from being a performer both on TV and live events, he also creates some remarkable sponge products available at Murphy's and Penguin, and also directly from him. His details can be found on the products and services section of the site amimagic.club. Joe M. Turner, who is a former IBM president of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, was the MC coordinator for Dan Garrett's recent funeral service. More than fitting, as Joe continues to be an integral part of the Atlanta, Georgia magic scene and has been for many years. Joe was also the MC at a wonderful event in Atlanta, aptly named The Magic of Giving. He writes, I'm continuing to produce Atlanta Magic Night each month. Our September performers will be ventriloquist Mark Merchant and myself. October will be mentalist Mark Johnson, the other co-producer, and Atlanta magician Bill Packard. The show takes place the third Sunday of each month, and tickets are available at atlantamagicnight.com. Atlanta Magic Night has been running since 2014, 10th year in 2024, and are planning a special show for the May 2024 10th anniversary. We're in our 10th year and are planning a special show for next May. Speaking of shows, we're planning an homage to Dan Garrett. I'll turn you over to Anthony Darkstone, the producer, for details.
Thank you, Michael. As you mentioned earlier on, and I think most folks already know, that very, very dear, close family friend, well, certainly to me and a dear friend to many, Dan Garrett passed. And you mentioned about a celebration of life that Joe Turner emceed. I got talking to Dan's wife, Carol, who's also with Dan over many decades, a good family friend, not just magic, but, well, just a good family friend in other areas. During our conversation, I said, well, look, I really would love to do a tribute show to Dan. And she said, wow, what a wonderful idea. Dan really loved you. And actually, to quote, she went, you were brothers from a different mother. I think what she was referring to is that both Dan and I had a wonderful sense of mischief. Good, clean mischief, you understand, but mischief nevertheless. So I decided, well, let's do this. Now, you yourself know, having appeared in other gala shows that I've produced, and indeed helped me on occasions as associate producer, there's a lot of work in the background to put this together, as you know.
Yes.
So anyways, let's do it, I said, and we started it. We have a wonderful list of performers lined up, and I'm tempted to reveal names at this stage, but they will be forthcoming in the posts and promo for the show, which is scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern on September the 30th, which is a Saturday. That's a good time because it pretty much allows everybody in the States to be awake. And over in Europe, it's 9 p.m. in England and just an hour more in other parts of Europe. So the show is coming together very, very nicely. We have some wonderful tributes to Dan. And one of the performers I can reveal, provided you keep it secret, Michael, is a gentleman from Canada. And he tells me, as a tribute to Dan, he's going to do what Martin Lewis called the cartographic and Dan called the cardiographic, which, if anybody's going, what on earth are you talking about, Anthony? Well, it's where you draw a card case on a sketch pad and the chosen card rises from there and you sign it and hand it to the audience. So you very kindly, in our prior conversation said, oh, I'd love to do that as a tribute. So there you go, everybody. You know, one of the performers that's going to be there. That's yourself.
Awesome. It's going to be great fun. I'm certainly looking
It
forward to
is.
it. Yes.
It is, because I'm in touch with many of Dan's colleagues and dear friends at the Atlanta Magic Club. People like Merle Harmon, Merlady Harmon, and Debbie Leifer. Well, I can tip it now. She's very kindly put together a kind of still review about Dan. And we were chatting earlier, and she very kindly is going to give that to us to run in the show. How wonderful is that?
Wow. Awesome. Awesome.
And of course, no show would be complete without a show of this nature, certainly, and to honor Dan, without, and I'll reveal the other person is also in the cast. We're going to open with Joe Turner doing a musical tribute, because many may not know Dan was a superb blues guitarist and also played, I understand, a pretty good piano. So Joe has put together something that he's going to do to open the show, and he's going to close the show later. I asked him, and he said, yeah, fine, we'll close the show later with some magic from Joe. So I don't know if I've left anything out at this stage. That's about it now.
It's going to be grand. I hope everyone listening out there can make it. And even folks not listening out there, I hope they make it as well. I understand you have some more news of upcoming events.
I do indeed, Michael. But before I get to them, I can just say that obviously we would love people to come and attend the show over Zoom, of course. Yes, it's over Zoom, and we will be posting all the details in the usual places. And you, of course, are very, very kind and get the posts and information out to, oh gosh, pretty much anywhere you can think of. So you're very good at that on things. So thank you for that in advance. And as I say, we will do all the details of the Zoom link. Of course, it will be recorded and then be sent over to our good friend Mark Williams, who does all our editing, and it'll come out as a really nice clip once Mark gets his hands on it. Anyway, you asked me about upcoming events.
Yes.
I thought it might be kind of cool to start with your native Canada, a little bit further from where you are at the moment, Quebec. René Claude Claire, some who will know the name and her links to magic in Canada, and of course recently FISM, etc., informs us that there's an event coming up called Camaraderie 2023 Festival de Magie de Québec. I thought it was kind of cool to use that word, CAM, because, as you know, that stands for Canadian Association of Magic, of which I know you're involved in as well. That's happening on the 24th of September, and all the details, if anyone wants them, goes to René Claude Leclerc's site, or indeed the CAM site and their website, and of course details on Facebook and other social media. Some news from Lance Burton. He informs us that his dear friend, the wonderful Gary Darwin, who I was very, very privileged to spend time with. In fact, it's a long story and you know it, but I'll shorten it. Gary was responsible for me lecturing at Boomers in Vegas. Anyway, Lance says that he is now, Gary that is, in his final resting place. Some may know, but for those who don't, Gary's ashes are in a special drawer box. Even more special is that box was made by none other than Lupe Nielsen.
Wow.
Exactly, because most folks will know, I hope, that she is a master wood craftsperson and making Dean's boxes. She has a license to do that. And of course, I think when Lance approached her, she said, yes, absolutely. And she made that drawer box. The drawer box, of course, those who knew Gary will get the significance. It was one of his favorite props, and that's all I'll say. Paul Ruffman, he's performing at the Close-Up Room in the Castle from September 11 to 17. Michael Cover. He'd been a busy man, and he was truly rocking it at the Midsummer Scream in Long Beach, California. He was doing that before, shall we say, some of the smoke and other hazards started. So, and he's getting some other stuff together, and I urge you to go to Michael Cover's FB page and other social media and check out some of his upcoming events. He's a really cool guy. I mean, I love him and his sense of humor. Another pal, Brian Stringfellow, will perform as Capitan Flamboyant, and Athena, his good lady, will perform as the Wench. Where? Well, at their special magic show called Pirates of Prestidigitation. Yeah, that's a nice piece of alliteration, isn't it, Michael? That takes place on September 23rd in Hiawatha, Kansas, at the Hiawatha Maple Leaf Festival.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just saying it's a must-see.
Oh, absolutely. If you're in Kansas, go. Well, I mean, check out all the stuff on Barron's FB page and sites and stuff. And I mean, they do amazing things together. And he's a pretty remarkable person. Well, so is Athena as well. What else is happening? Let's see. Oh, Meadow Perry, of course, the magnificent bubble magician, if I can call her that, or magic with bubbles, in alliance with the Philadelphia School of Circus Arts, we're putting on a show on Sunday, the 24th of September. Another person well known to us both and to many others, Tommy Burnett. Now, he's billed as New York City's favorite mind reader and been rather exceptionally busy in August with his virtual performance, including his, sorry, did I say performers? I meant performances, including his one-man virtual show. And that show is called In Your Mind. He also performed live on August 16th at the famous Quadrilat Demonstratum, QED for short, comedy club in Astoria, New York, and got, as I understand it, rave reactions. He's actually currently in negotiations with that venue to have a regular monthly 75-minute show. Of course, we shall bring you details as we get them, and I'm sure Tommy will put all of those on his social media, etc. What else was Tommy getting up to? Quite a bit. He performed at Flavors of Magic on August the 17th alongside Tanya Solomon and Eric Welton. The show was produced and hosted by Sarah Cranston. Flavors is the name of a venue, and it was started primarily to feature the talents of Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ folk, and performers with disabilities who perform magic. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So, you know, you go to this place and they're primarily interested with, you know, in diversity, really. That's the word. That's the word. And as you know, Michael, you're heading up the AMI Paranormal Committee, and we have Milan Schaefer, who's going to be heading up our AMI Diversity Committee. All of that's coming in the future, as you know. Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. What else in October? Oh, yeah, still on Tommy. He's in October. This is funny. I'll try and do it without laughing, okay? In October of this year, he's going into character. Wait for this, Michael. A time-traveling paranormalist. Oh, it gets even funnier. This time-traveling paranormalist gets caught in a time loop.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. Just in time for the holidays. But, of course, October, yes, yeah, Halloween.
Perfect.
Tommy actually joins in the fun, and he rather amusingly states, by my calculations, I've performed this same show nonstop over 2,000 times, and I'm very frustrated about it. However, fair to state from the audience points of view, I've only done it once. Well,
Perfect.
it is, isn't it? Yeah, he's certainly is a character if you don't know him.
Yeah.
The show is called The Seance and Other Eerie Things. It's funny, it's clever and spooky, and Tommy tells us it even has an actual seance.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. He did bits of the show. He performed it at the Doomsday Bizarre Magic Convention in England earlier this year, and got quite a lot of ovation and praise from different people who were there. Now, in this show, the question is going to be asked: who will he try to bring back? I have no idea. You'll have to go to Tommy's show to find out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love Tommy. He's really really a cool performer. The IBM British Ring is taking place shortly in England, is it not?
Yes, it is, Michael. It's one of my favorite conventions, and I was fortunate to do a few things there on one of the conventions, a talk show and emceed some stuff, etc. Anyway, more to the point is the IBM British Ring Convention is taking place in England, obviously, from the 7th to the 10th of September. Among the impressive lineup is another one of our AMI board members, Louise Andre Douglas. So that should be quite something. Now, can I talk about my absolute favorite convention, Michael?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I love a lot of conventions, as you and I do. But, there's always one that for somehow, some way, always touches your heart and stays with you. I've been to a few of them. The one in 2008 was just life-changing in many aspects for me. What am I talking about? My favorite convention. Am I biased? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'll be honest, I am. And that's the Texas Association of Magicians, better known as TAOM. Takes place over Labor Day weekend from the 1st to the 4th of September in one of my favorite cities, Houston in Texas, in the U.S., obviously. Yeah. Now, guess who the honoree for this year is? None other than Bill Merlin Palmer. He's the actual honoree, guest of honor, however you want to phrase it. And I'm further delighted, obviously, for Bill, whom I've known since Noah built the ark, that he has also graciously, a little while back, accepted to be an ambassador for our association, the Magiciens Internationaux.
Yes.
Now, indeed he has. Yes. Now, how do you get information for TAOM? Very simple. Look at all the stuff on social media, but better yet, go to taom.org, O-R-G. Everything you need to know is there. Not a lot of time left, so I'd hurry up if I was you. And, that's it on there.
True. Excellent. The TAOM also has a long history of well over 76 years, and I know you've attended quite a few. Would you like to share some brief history with us, Anthony?
Oh, sure, Michael. I'd be really happy to. Briefly, because it's a long and good story, but let's be brief about this. It started pretty much like, the origins of the Circle, the SAM, and the IBM, with a few close friends just getting together and saying, hey, why don't we just put a club together in Texas? And that idea was inspired by Herman Yeager of Austin in Texas. He got together with a few friends in 1944 and had an informal picnic stroke barbecue. They did that again in 1945, and soon after that, the informal picnics became an organization. At first, urged by everybody, Herman said, no, I don't want to do it, but eventually he did become the first president. According to the TAOM history, the Texas Association of Magicians came into existence at Herman Jaeger's Lodge in Austin, Texas, officially on September 1, 1946. So that's what, 77 years, really, isn't it? That's a long while, yeah. The second business session of the TAM was called to order in the Stephen Austin Hotel on September 2nd, 1946. In 1947, Fort Worth, another great city, by the way, hosted the first convention that was advertised solely under the Texas Association of Magicians banner. Can I tell you a little bit about some of the past presidents?
I'd be curious, absolutely.
Well, we could do an entire 3-hour show by listing all of it. Well, more than that, all of them and all their qualifications and accolades, etc. But I'll just touch on a few. There's an impressive list, as I just said, of so many names, many illustrious names as presidents, but a few, well, certainly that I knew anyway, Scott Wells, Trixie Bond, Chuck Lear, Walter Blaney, Ralph Marco M., Scott Hollingsworth, Ramon Galindo, Frank Ramirez, Frank Price, Steve Burton, and Daniel Garcia, to name but a few that I knew and hung out with. But, worth checking the names on their site. Oh, yeah, I mentioned Scott Wells, didn't I? Yeah, well, now he's one very ubiquitous gentleman, as we all know. Yeah, he's all over the place. I think there must be about 7 of him. He's a bit like the Harlem Globetrotter teams. There's about 8 of them that play in different places. Well, anyway, to be serious for a moment, yeah, he is really ubiquitous. Dear Scotto Wells, Scotty rather. If you want to catch the flavor of the more recent Magic Live, the more recent Abbott's, and other conventions, which go back a while, you got to tune in to the Magic Word podcast. He's got them all listed, and it's listened to from folks all over the world, literally. It really is international. And as you know, Michael, he's been very kind in the past and sent us wonderful reports for our Magic News Network. And everything can be Scotto's podcast. Well, you can find them on his website, Scott Wells, and or on, just go to Magic Word Podcast and things will pop up.
Awesome. I'm so glad you brought that up. I love Scott's podcasts. You also have some Vegas Magic Circle and other news for us?
Yes, I do, Michael. Well, it's not starting with Vegas as such, but still in Texas. Professor Robina, aka known as Robin Bias Pierce, recently passed her exam literally a few days ago at the Magic Circle, making her a full MMC at the Magic Circle.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Robina.
Absolutely, congratulations. From Vegas, what's happening in Vegas? Well, magic-wise, anyway, Banachek, his show Mind Games, celebrated its second anniversary, 2-year anniversary, 2 years of success in Las Vegas. Quite something, that. In September, I'm informed, they will have done 500 shows at the Strat. The shows are at 5 p.m., 6 days a week. Caesar's Palace in Vegas. Well, that's a place in magic. My goodness, we can talk about that for hours. Well, they celebrated their 57th anniversary in August. It opened in 1966, and I'm reliably informed that at the opening, in true Vegas style, it was pretty lavish. 50,000 glasses of champagne, and wait for it, Michael, wait for it, 2 tons of filet mignon.
Wow.
I have no idea how many people were there eating there. I mean, can you imagine 50,000 glasses of champagne? Kind of, yeah, plausible, I guess.
Yes.
But 2 tons of filet mignon, my goodness, yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, to all our vegetarian listeners, look, I'm sorry, Michael, and I apologize. I'm just telling you the news, okay? We're not taking sides. Oh, and Frank Sinatra opened the following year, i.e., 1967.
The chairman of the board himself. Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Oh gosh, yeah, we have some stories. I think I've shared some with you in the past. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, carrying on. Mark Williams, who's also one of our AMI board members, attended a 3-hour convention in Vegas. That's right, 3 hours.
Wow.
And Lupe Nielsen was the guest of honor on that one. By all accounts, it was pretty jam-packed 3 hours with pretty much anybody who was anybody was there. Mark also told me that a few days ago, literally, he went to the show that he was invited to by a very good mutual friend of Mark's and mine, Murray Sorchuk.
Ah,
He's one of your Canadian compatriots, isn't he?
absolutely. I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
from
yeah.
this side of
Originally,
Canada, this side of the country. Yep.
absolutely. A lovely, 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 lovely man. I wrote an article on him and he just showered me with gifts afterwards. It was quite embarrassing.
He's a good
said,
guy.
yeah, I said all I did was write an article. But anyway, yeah, he was filming at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Vegas. And of course, Mark was invited along with his lady to be in the audience, and they were filming that for television. And Mark told me we were in the front row, center stage. The best part was that Murray Sorchuk put on a great show filled with lots of laughs and mind-boggling illusions. And he adds, "Thank you, Murray, for a wonderful time." Yeah. Oh, by the way, Michael,
Yes.
as we were talking about fine magicians from Canada, well, we've got to mention you, obviously.
Okay.
Ray Ray Parker, respect RIP to him. Greg Fruin, Jeff and Tessa Everson, Ariel Freilich, Tony Yang, respect RIP to him, his daughter Julie Yang, Juliana Chen, and the list just goes on, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We've got
Yes.
some really incredible, incredible people out there. What's the name of that guy? I can't think of his name at the moment. It's gone out of my head. He bought Tony Yang's Magic and Joke Shop.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it was also Murray, wasn't he? Isn't it Murray something? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. His last name escapes me as well. I met him a number of times. A really
Uh-huh.
good guy, really nice guy. Did a great illusion show along with his wife. My wife, Susan, and I attended one of his fundraisers as well, and some years back. So, yeah, I'll have to check on his last
His
name.
last name, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something Murray or Murray something. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it escapes me. You know, I mean, I don't know what your excuse is, Michael, but I'm 195 years old, so, my memory ain't that good. Yeah.
Same.
Well,
I hate to admit, same.
yeah, no, you're only 180, so that's all right. uh, of course, Lost Spillet. Let's try Lost Spillet. Yeah, very appropriate slip. Lost Spirits
Yeah.
Distillery and Circus in Las Vegas every Friday and Sunday night. Another good pal. Just a great guy. I was on the cast with him at Jeff McBride's Wonderground. It's where I very first time met him, and then he comes us to his show, etc. Really, really, just everything magic should be, he does in this amazing act, and that, of course, is the magic of Mondre.
Yes.
Very, very cool guy.
I love
Very
his
cool guy.
style. It's very cool.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know how sometimes people in Vegas kind of go, well, one of two things, either yeah, or yeah, well, I've seen this all before. Well, the former, which is yay, when he finishes his act, Mondre, including myself, I have to admit, brilliant, just brilliant. Holly England, Bizarro, and the rest of the cast, they continue to rock it at the Late Night Magic. So that kind of covers most of the stuff that I got news on from Vegas. Moving over to Europe, FFAP, which is France's leading magic organization, to celebrate the European Heritage Days, on the 16th and 17th of September from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Are opening up their doors. All visitors will be made welcome. So if you find yourself in France and you're a magician, go along. Tell them we sent you.
Absolutely.
All the library books as well as the magazines will be available for viewing by members, of course, not to the public. And a good pal of mine, Gilles Magur, who is the husband of Valérie Quick Change, the queen, empress of Quick Change, he's created an incredible database of the magazine. Books published by FFAP, as well as old magazines available in the archives. They're actually selling some of them on the site. That's happening on 16th of September at 7:30 p.m. Paris, France time, not Paris, Texas time, Paris, France time. And there will be, not the sale. That date and time I gave you is a lecture by Gabriel Verlaine. The information, I'm sorry, say again, Michael?
I just said yes. I've
okay. Yeah, well, that's fine. We're informal and chatting here like a radio show, so that's okay. Yeah. You don't have to be, too formal about it. For information, it's J. Claude, CLAUDE dot PIVETEAU. I'll repeat that, JCLAUDE dot PIVETEAU at gmail.com, or directly to Gabriel, GABRIEL, at Werlen, WERLEN .art, A-R-T. So Gabriel at Werlen.art.
Excellent.
So, I don't know this gentleman, but, from all my pals in France and elsewhere, they really rate him. Yeah, I really, really rate this guy. So, I'm hoping, we might get a glimpse, and I'm sure that somebody will send us a report on how it went.
That would be cool. That would be so
cool.
Wouldn't
it just? Yeah. I'll get in touch with Gilles and ask him. Or indeed, even if he's not busy, our AMI president, Arthur Tivoli, Monsieur Arthur Tivoli. Our president, yes. He's, as you know, we spoke about that he's on a major tour till the first week of September.
Right.
So if he shows up there, I'm sure he'll send us some news. Yeah.
Well, actually, we're on the same topic of magic in Europe and elsewhere. Some will recall that we had Solange Cardinali and Arcadio Jose on our AMI Gala show June 17th. I hope everyone caught that. You have some news about them, I understand?
Yes, I do. Solange Cardinali and Arcadio Jose, her husband. Well, some will recall a couple of months ago in Italy, they won the Guinness Book of Records for fast change. It was, I know you remember it, Michael, very well, because you spoke about it on one of the Magic News networks, and that was 26 fast changes in under a minute.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Too bad we didn't have permission to show the clip. Right. However, if you want to see it and go to YouTube, either Solange Cardinali or Arcadio Jose, or indeed on their Facebook pages, you can see it. And I can assure you it's well worth doing. Anyway, they're just taking off. They're continually demand and becoming really fast, top rising stars. The international magic scene. I know there was Magic Live in Vegas. I don't think they performed, but they were there certainly. And in October, from the 18th to 22nd, they're taking their brand of magic to Bogota in South America. Bogota to the Teatro Astor. So it's Teatro Teatroa STOR Plaza, PLAZA. So that's it. If you want to, anyway, just go to their pages, or Solange Cardinali or Arcadio Jose. So yeah, just great, and we were delighted to have them in our gala show. So yeah, what else have I got? Yeah, that's about it, I think. Yeah.
Here's an update on some news from FISM. Luis Almeida is a new FISM judge in training. Luis has won lots of accolades, most recently the FISM World Championship 2022 in Quebec in the category Micro Magic. Luis can be seen in action this September as a FISM judge in training at the Spanish Championship of Magic in Manresa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. M-A-N.
Uh,
Is that
Close. Manresa.
Manresa. Excellent.
That you got it. Yep, you got it.
Manresa. Last but not least, we close this edition with our producer's pick. That's you.
Yes.
Quote, magic can happen in only one place. That is in the mind of the audience, unquote. And that's from the great Slidini. Thank you all.
So I was just going to say,
Yes.
absolutely. I had about 2 or 3 producers' picks, but somehow that one leapt out at me, Michael, and I thought, no, we've got to do that from the great Slidini, as you said. Yeah.
He's just immortal. His stuff will live on forever. If anybody gets a chance to go on YouTube and look at his stuff, he did everything a little bit differently, so he could even fool magicians. Slidini,
Well, Howard,
Slidini, Slidini with
yeah,
a Y,
indeed.
S-O-Y.
Well, Howard Hamburg and certainly Bill Merlin Palmer have some wonderful stories of time spent with him. We won't go into them here because I think we're pretty much getting to the time to wrap it all up, aren't we, Michael?
Oh my goodness, time flies. I want to thank everyone out there for listening, and I want to thank you, Anthony.
Sure.
And you're the producer, so from the producer, Anthony Darkstone, and myself, have a great September, everyone. And until next month, happy gigging.
Absolutely. Bye-bye and happy gigging, everyone.
Take care.